Shalom and blessings. This is Pastor Hodges of Impact Church of the Low Country. I want to welcome you guys back to the broadcast. Listen, wherever you may be, however you may be, thanks for making us part of your day. We count it a blessing that you guys tune in to our broadcast, because I understand that you could be consuming content anywhere else in social media world, but you decided to spend some time with us, and we say thank you so much, and we appreciate you so much. So listen, follow us on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you guys are sharing this to get this out in front of as many souls as possible. And make sure you also hit that notification button so that you guys are going to be notified every time we upload content. Okay? So thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you. Wow. So we dealt a lot in prayer in the life of a believer the last few weeks, and it's been great. It's been wonderful. It's been fun. I can't tell you how much fun I had teaching that lesson. So today, oddly enough, guys, we're going to move into the realm of worship. Yes, you heard me correctly. Worshiping God in the beauty of His holiness, or the worship experience. You know, I'm just terrible with names, but nevertheless, the worship experience. Okay, so I've come to appreciate worship, although I can't say I grew up on it. You know, I came through a time in the United Methodist Church where we were still having devotional service. Okay, so it's not like what we have mostly today, when you have the big praise and worship team and the production and the band and the sound and the LED wall and all those good things. You know, I came up through that time, so I honestly, I had to learn to appreciate the worship service or the worship experience. Okay. But once I got a grasp on it, and I say grasp on it, I don't mean that literally. You know, your worship or the way you worship determines your relationship with the Lord. Okay. So it's pretty much what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. It's pretty much how you build your relationship with God determines how you are going to appreciate Him in your life. Now, worship is more than just the praise and worship part or portion of the service. Praise and worship. Forgive me. Worship is a lifestyle. Just like being a believer, just like being a follower of Christ, just like being a Christian, it is a way of life. Just like living a fasted life, that is a lifestyle. These are the fundamental truths that we lean on to help us grow and to help us develop a regiment for the necessary things that we have to do as believers. Okay, so in the realm of worship, it's multifaceted. Guys, it's multifaceted. It's more than just singing a song. Excuse me. It's more than just singing a song. Your worship is also your identity in God. Your worship is also can be used as a weapon for your benefit in warfare. Okay, your worship you can use that worship as intimacy with God to help build your faith and help build your understanding of grace. So worship has many faces. It's multifaceted. It has many levels to it. It's way more than just surface. I'm telling you, way more than just surface. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about the worship experience. So as for me, as it goes, you know, I'm not emotional, but when people see me, okay, and I'm into my worship, like literally, I close my eyes because I want to block out all of the surrounding things that are going around. I want to literally begin to focus my attention on Jesus. In my mind, I'm looking at the word Jesus in my mind, or focusing on a picture, or I'm showing my mind the Bible, what heaven may look like. This is all going in my mind when I want to rein in my mental, all of my senses. So the air goes, I close my eyes because I want to give God what is due him. I want to focus on him. I don't want to focus so much on the music. As great as our singers are, I want to begin to focus on the worshiping of my Lord, my Savior, my God, my King, my Majesty, the giver of life, the God of knowledge, the God of wisdom, the God of understanding, the God of all creation, the God with the intelligent mind to create the cosmos for it to operate the way that it does, a God who created man from dust, but then designed it to be 80% water. That doesn't make sense, right? And then to also design the human body to not incubate another human body operating on one heart, the same blood vessels, but still sustaining another life within its body. Like, that is the mind of an intelligent God who knows how to make a system work. I mean, not to mention your nervous system, not to mention how your heart is beating twice its capacity to support the other life that's in the womb of a woman. Like, yeah, evolution doesn't do that. Evolution says that something came out of nothing. It doesn't make sense, right? But no. The way the cosmos is made up lets you know that there was an intelligent mind that creates such an intelligent thing that it just didn't happen from a big bang. Not all of its own. I mean, think about it. We're talking about worship, but I'm talking about giving adoration to God in this moment. Okay, let's look at gravity, right? Gravity is set at the right amount that it doesn't crush us. One feather too much of gravity and we smash. I mean, like a soda can. Not enough gravity, we float off right into space, burn up in the atmosphere. But an intelligent mind had enough wherewithal to create gravity at just the right point, at the right tilt, that everything exists on Earth the way that it does without anything crushing or failing. Get a load of that. I'm talking about worship. I'm talking about giving God adoration. Okay, I'm talking about giving God what is due to his name. I'm talking about giving the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of my Lord and Savior, the one who created order out of chaos, to call it all into order, to put the planets on its orbit and command them not to move. And the last time I checked, they're still on their job. And he gave them order. He gave them a job description. And they're continuing to do that today. And it's not going to change unless he decides to change it. But we understand that from the word that the heavens are established. They aren't going anywhere until God comes back or until Jesus comes back. Okay, this only happens by another being, a higher being, God himself, God of the Bible, an intelligent God to create such a thing to work without having to be managed. I mean, who else can carve out the oceans and the mountains and command the oceans? All right, this is as far as you go. You don't go any further. Okay. That can create such a mountain that will literally blow your mind to the mass of its size. Huh? My daughter likes to tell us that although, we explore space and all its wonders, but a lot of the ocean that's on this earth isn't even explored. And guess who's keeping that in order? A magnificent God. You hear me? So to worship God in the beauty of his holiness essentially means that you have to approach God with a reverence. Okay, this was the point I'm trying to get across. To approach God with reverence and with honor and with adoration and sincerity, to understand that you are not on this earth because of anything that you have done. Absolutely not. It involves recognizing God's sovereign power. It involves recognizing God's nature and his character. Okay, we're talking about worship. Has anyone ever been to the Grand Canyon? Has anyone ever been to the Grand Canyon? Hey, hit us up in the comments. Let us know if you've been. Okay, Think about this for a second. Okay, when you're standing out there and you're looking across this magnificent wonder, and to see how it was all carved out intentionally. Okay, just to gaze at that vastness and that majesty, just on the sheer scale of that natural wonder, leaves you to stand in awe of that picture that you're looking at, to remind you that the power of creativity of a deity that will form that in such a way just points to the glory and the greatness and the majesty of God. Okay, God is even greater than what he creates, but when we look at it from our perspective, we're saying, wow, that is so wonderful, that is so awesome, like, oh, it's mind-blowing. The 7 wonders of the world, 8 wonders of the world, I don't know whichever one it is, you guys count, but to understand that there was an intelligent God to create those things for us. Okay, the Bible says that God didn't create the plants and the vegetation of the world until he had in mind to create humanity so that he can put us in the garden. And if you notice, we were created last, say the best for last. This goes to show you about his authority and his control over all of creation. Now, this should, and I say it lightly, this should assure us as believers of God's power and his wisdom and his faithfulness to even be concerned about man when you think of what he's capable of doing and creating. To understand that even though the cosmos is what it is, the landscape of the earth is what it is, the ocean is what it is, and everything that lives in it, he still cares about your day to day, your moment to moment, your hour to hour. Now, don't you think that that is worthy of adoration and to be admired and to be worshiped in the fact that you, as humanity, we are a little piece on the grand scale of things. I mean, I can't recall mountains returning back to the dust, but our human bodies do. I mean, God's capability is just mind-blowing, and his sovereignty should give us comfort to trust in his goodness. So when we talk about worshiping God and the beauty of his holiness, that means we are offering praise to God for what he has created, as we call in what we call the earth, and as we worship God in the beauty of holiness, that we give him adoration and devotion to God in a manner that reflects, in a manner that is worthy of his holiness and righteousness. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just enamored. Like, I can't get enough. Like, it seems like, God, I can't worship you enough, in spite of my shortcomings, that you will still be concerned about how I mess up when there's so many other things in this world, God, for you to be concerned about. I mean, we're living in the last days when there's wars and rumors of wars and these mega powers joining in alliances, and how the way the earth is groaning, and these natural disasters are just happening on, frequently. Mudslides, thunderstorms, I mean, tornadoes dropping like Skittles out of the sky. We see this right here in the word, right? So go with me to Psalms 29 and 2. And the word of God reads, which says, give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Now here, the beauty of holiness is referring to that awe-inspiring, that jaw-dropping, that breathtaking splendor and purity of God's character. And worship him in the beauty of this holiness involves approaching God with respect and reverence. It requires a submission. It requires you to literally put yourself aside, and to literally forget about the week you had, because whether or not you had a good week or a bad week, God is still worthy of who he is, because he's God. In the beginning was God. You don't get a backstory because he's always existed. Okay. We have to come into this understanding that God is. So that and that alone should raise your sincerity and your authentic adoration for God. Just imagine if he would just blink his eye for a second. The Bible says he doesn't slumbers or sleeps. He doesn't get tired. He's always on watch. If he blinked, the earth would probably just dissolve. Okay, just this goes to show you the magnitude of the God that we serve. And I'm just going to touch this just for a second, and hopefully I won't travel down that rabbit hole too long or too far. In today's society and in today's culture, you know just as well as I know that you've seen it with your own eyes, the self-absorbed, the self-edification of what we call worship. I mean, it's to the point where it's just so self-absorbed. What I can get from God, what God has done for me. I have this, I got that. I'm not knocking anybody, but I got a blessing with my name on it. What about worshiping the God who is giving you the blessing? What about worshiping the God who healed you versus the healing? What about worshiping the God that provides for you versus the house and the car that he gave you out of grace in the first place? And it's come to the point where if Jesus walked into church, wherever you are, he probably wouldn't recognize it. He probably would have one of those moments where he walked into the temple and started turning over tables and chairs. Like, when you really think about worship and worshiping God, yourself has to be put on the back burner. Because we're talking about giving an all-powerful, an all-knowing, an ever-present, everywhere at the same time, all the time, intelligent God in demonstration to understand that in order to redeem us, he had to give something up for us. And to know that Jesus Christ had to die. He knew he was going to die before he left heaven, but he still derobed himself of his glory. And that is worthy of every kind and sincere word that I can come up with in my small mind to give to God. Like, even that is still not enough. There's the song that speaks about if I had 10,000 tongues, that it wouldn't be enough to tell God thank you. In the grand scheme of things, you're right. But because you do have one tongue that you're capable of giving God worship, you should at least do it in sincerity, not with the mentality of, here, look at me, see me. I'm standing here before you with a microphone, and it's all about me. So worshiping God calls for us to really evaluate what we call worship. It's not a song. You know what worship really is? It's about the posture of your heart. It's not about the style of clothing that you wear. It's not about the hairstyle or your color of your hair. It's not about the church that you attend to or how small or how large your church is, how well the singers are, how wonderful the sound system sounds, how great the band is. It's not about any of that. It is about a heart posture, about lowering yourself. Okay, we talked about knowing the will of the Father, which literally means you put down your will to pick up God's will. It's on the same line here. And work when you get to a sincere worship, that thing, and forgive me of the word I'm using, but this is how I'm saying it. That thing has levels of dimensions in it. Now, understanding that we just don't Wake up understanding the significance and the level and magnitude of worship and what God, according to his word, is calling us to when he says worship. We have to grow in this, but it only happens when we set aside time for God intentionally. Corporate, we'll get there when we cross that bridge. But in order to have a strong corporate, you have to have a strong individual lifestyle for God to work with something. Okay? I mean, I'm gonna leave that rabbit hole alone. I'm gonna move on away from that soapbox. So here's another illustration for you. Okay. Anybody ever seen the sunrise? Let me tell you something. Whew. I've seen quite a few because of where I used to work. It is one of the most beautiful, unrealizing, and that's not even a word. It is just it just makes you wonder, like, how does this happen every single day? Or why does this happen the way that it happens? Okay, so just imagine, all right, you're standing on the edge of land, and this is my experience because I'm from the low country. And as I'm watching, before the sun even peaks over the horizon, before you can actually see the physical sun, the sky begins to change colors. The sky begins to change colors and the darkness begins to push back, but not too fast. Some of the darkness lingers. Okay. And that lingering darkness begins to mix like a kaleidoscope with the rays of the sun. And the sun hasn't even peaked over the horizon yet. You don't even physically see the sun with your own eyes yet. But you just begin to see how the sky begins to take another shape. The sky begins to look like it is alive, the way it begins to change. And then here comes the sunlight, peaks over the horizon. Like I said, it begins to become alive with the hue of a deep, deep orange, like a blood orange, with colors of gold and a little hint of pink. Now, that sunrise seems to be offering its very own worship. Just by the way that it happened, it looks like it is coming alive, like a rebirth. But we understand the sun is not having a rebirth. It's just a rotation of the earth, makes it looks like the way that it looks like. But when you look at it for what it really is, it's like a something new that has never happened before. And I've seen quite a few, and it's very unassuming if you're not paying attention. But when you stand still just long enough to see one, oh my God, it seems like that sunrise is standing and saluting God of the universe, giving him worship, saying, God, I am doing what you have commanded me to do. Am I doing it well? This is a sunrise. This is worship we're talking about here. All of nature and creation displays God's wonder and majesty for humanity to take notice of. But I get it. We can be self-absorbed. So everybody has to grow. Everybody has to grow. And so that only happens because of an intelligent mind. Like I mentioned before, just the way the cosmos itself, our galaxy itself, works to revolve around one star that brightens billions and billions of miles of sun rays across the galaxies. It seems like it just keeps continuing to get hotter. So it's not taking a break. So I'm trying to paint us a picture here. When we're talking about giving God worship, it is more than just a title. It is more than just a point in the service that we just call it a part of the service. It's about giving a God with an intelligent mind to put structure into darkness and create this wonderful thing that we call space. And then to create an earth or a rock that's placed at the right measurement from the sun, that is never too hot, it's never too cold, to where water exists, moisture exists at the right time, point in space, that is habitable with the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that allows humanity to live. Mic drop, whatever you want to call it, bars, I don't care what you want to call it. That, my friends, is an appreciation that we miss. And if we can just slow down just enough, as the old folks say, to smell the roses, you begin to see how beautiful a rose can be. That it never sows for itself. It doesn't dress itself. But that a God of all creation can make something so beautiful like a sunrise. It makes you want to just melt to your knees, put your forehead on your floor, and for some of us, just sit in silence and worship. But for others, to just speak words of love and appreciation and God, I can't do this enough to give you what you are worthy of, because you're so huge and you're so big and you're so encompassing that in my finite mind, this is the best I can do. But you're worthy of much more than that. And I'm just scratching the surface, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm actually trying to keep myself from crying here. But this is how wonderful God is. This is how wonderful Jehovah is. This is how wonderful Adonai is. This is how wonderful the God of heaven's army, the Lord of hosts, is. That he governs the natural and the supernatural, all at the same time without blinking an eye. To know that the spirit realm is more real than this physical one. Because remember, he wrote the end from the beginning. So we're literally in, according to God, we're literally in the past trying to catch up with the future. We need to appreciate God a little bit more than what we do. We can do better. So let's do better. So I'm encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen. I am encouraging you, family. I am encouraging you, friends of Impact Church. Let's get back. Let's get back. Not go back, but let's get back to worshiping a God that you know did it for you. Because his character says he is who he is, we can depend on him. Let's get back to appreciating him much better than we are. Much better than we are. I encourage you to grow in the grace and knowledge of God. Your worship, it depends totally on you. Worship wasn't created for God. God got his stuff together. Worship was created for mankind to interact with a holy God. That the angels in heaven are constantly standing around the throne singing holy, 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 and with each holy that comes out in the mouth, they're receiving a new revelation, which requires them to say another holy, and they receive another revelation of how good God is, which requires them to say another holy, which requires them then to receive another impartation of how glorious God is, which prompts them to say holy yet again. Do you see where this is going? And if angels can understand that, God knows we should. I love you, ladies and gentlemen. I love you, friends and family of Impact Church. Be encouraged. Let's get back to worshiping the God of the Bible, the God of the Bible. And we will begin to then appreciate him a little bit more. And then we'll begin to see him interwoven throughout our lives a little bit more. Okay. Be encouraged. Listen, I love you. I love with the Lord, with the love of the Lord. And I pray that God's face shine upon you wherever you are, in your house, on your job, as a believer of the Most High God. I love you. And until next time, peace and blessings.